Hey everybody, Paul Abernathy here. Welcome to my channel. If you're not a subscriber, please do me a favor, click the subscribe, hit the bell to get notifications. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about the different tools that I recommend for apprentices. So an apprentice that's getting started into the industry, they kind of want to know what tools do they need. And they get a lot of people that tell them, oh, you need this, you need that. And of course, you buy into this hype and people say, oh, you need to go down to Milwaukee, or you need to get DeWalt, or you need to get something. Let's just talk about apprentices or helpers or people that are just getting into the trade. And you know what? You need to make the money first, right? You need to start putting some cash in your pocket, but you do need tools to work with. So I want to talk about the tools that I recommend in no specific order that an apprentice or a helper need to have in their tool bag to get started. And so I'll kind of go through the ones that I recommend to get you started. Of course, opinions will vary, and people will say, no, you need this, you need that. So everybody's entitled to their opinion, of course. But I'm going to go over mine and what I think, at least me getting an apprentice started. Now, we're not going to include power tools. That should be a given. You need a good drill, whatever brand you want. You need to have a good drill. The fanboys will say you need to have this brand or that brand. I'm just talking generics, not promoting any one brand. But you obviously need to have your power tools. Back in the day, all the stuff that I used was corded. I'm still a fan of the corded tools that seem to have a bit more torque. But today, a lot of the people are simply using cordless for everything. My brother, for example, he'll rough in all of his houses using a simple cordless drill with a paddle bit, spade bit, auger bit. So I get it, and I have all those things. But we're talking about not stuff that you, and that might be a different video. We'll be talking about the certain minimum power tools you need, whether you need this or that. But in this video, we want to talk hand tools and what you need for hand tools. So let me kind of start out with, in no specific order. I'm just talking about things that I recommend that every apprentice should have in their tool pouch. Okay, so the first tool that I recommend is a set of diagonal cutters. Now, diagonal cutters are great for cutting things that you don't want to use your side cutters on, which we'll show you in a minute. The diagonal cutters are great for clipping like straps and metal things that you really don't want to take a chance on your edge on your side cutters, but just good universal tool to cut things, tie wraps, and what have you. Obviously, you can use this to cut your conductors and whatnot as you're terminating, but then you're going to be switching back and forth between your side cutters. So yeah, this is kind of, you could do a lot with the side cutter, but a good set of diagonals, you'll be surprised at the different things that you want to cut. And the diagonals give you a little more leverage, shorter beak, so it gives you a little more leverage cutting. So again, I recommend every apprentice, or basically every electrician, have a nice set of diagonal cutters. Okay, so that's the first tool that I recommend you have in your bag, and you're going to end up using them more than you think you will. Okay, so that's the first one. The next thing that I recommend, obviously, is a set of strippers. There's different strippers available, different manufacturers, spring actuated. There's strippers that actually cut the sheathing of non-metallic sheath cable. These are just individual conductor sizes, and then this one goes from 8 gauge to 18 gauge solid, or 10 gauge to 20 gauge stranded. It also has some 632 and 832 cutters here. So you don't try to cut the bolt and put that little edge on it and it won't screw in. You use the cutters that are built in. Different ones, but back in the day, we used to take our wire and we would grab it with our side cutters and we would pop it and strip off the insulation. Okay, just kind of go around a little bit, but it put little nicks in it. And we're trying to keep from nicking the actual conductive material as much as possible. So this is now a universal. In other words, it has a set of like pliers on the end, got your strippers, got your cutters, and then of course you can cut bolts with it. There's many manufacturers out there, but today, obviously, all apprentices need a good wire stripper in there, so we want to make sure we're not going to damage the conductors as we're stripping off the insulation. It kind of sounds like a no-brainer, but when you're trying to put together your list of tools, and you've gone with your diagonals, then you go with your strippers, right? Again, many manufacturers, many features, but again, definitely have to have a set of strippers. It should be in every apprentice helper's bag to start out with. The next thing that I recommend, obviously, this one should go without saying. And again, if you're talking limited tools when you're trying to get into the trade, and this is why we put together this package for apprentices, and we offer a lot more in helpers. We put it together. Obviously, we offer more tools than you need, but there are certain tools that you really need to make sure you have getting started. So obviously, it goes without saying, a good pair of side cutters. Gives you great leverage. This one happens to have a crimper as well. So if you're doing the barrel crimps for the equipment grounds, if that's your thing. Nice set of pliers end and then a good cutting edge on this. One of the things that I say about the different ones you buy is these are going to be beat to death, whether you're using it to put in staples or you're cutting your cables or twisting your joints. Things like that. This is probably what you're going to use the most. I don't recommend one brand over the other. Everybody knows my opinion on this type of thing. The ones that I happen to have here have a lifetime warranty, but they're only a fraction of the cost. Okay, fraction of the cost of some of the big names. But you do you, whatever your budget will allow. But again, you have to have a nice pair of side cutters. Right? Lineman pliers, they're referred to, things like that. But you have to have a good set of these. So everybody should have a good set. Most certainly apprentices should have a good set of that. Okay, the next thing that I recommend is that you need to have a good set of insulated screwdrivers. Obviously, helpers and apprentices are early into their trade. And they're not as skilled. I mean, no offense. They're not as skilled at working on things, and things can happen and slippage can take place. These are insulated to 1,000 volts, typically well beyond what you're going to work in as a helper or an apprentice, where you're going to have in contact with potentially loud parts as far as whether you're doing a service call or something like that or helping out. So these are insulated to 1,000 volts, and they're not overly expensive. You can get a good set of them, Phillips, straight head. So I highly recommend that one of the first investments that you do in your tool collection as an apprentice or helper is get you a set of nice insulated screwdrivers. And you can get them in a pack with different sizes, different diameters. This happens to be, I think, a standard 2. But you can get them in different ones, and they're just great to have in every electrician should have a good set of insulated screwdrivers. But an apprentice, most certainly, since you're starting into it, you want to make sure that you definitely do have some insulated tools for that. So that's great. The next thing that I'm going to recommend is I think that as you start getting into it, and you'll start seeing, you'll do a lot of mundane things, screwing things in, whether it's Phillips, straight, or whatever. And again, screwdrivers they're great. But again, if you're going to be doing something that you're going to be doing quite a bit of it, then you want to kind of move on up to this. This is 11-in-1. So you want to they make them in 8-in-1s, 7-in-1s, 11-in-1s, whatever you get. This happens to be 11-in-1. So it comes apart. And so you're going to have multiples in each end, right, that come out and go in it. So Phillips straight. And then, of course, this side, you're going to have, this looks like this is a star. And let's see here, star and a square. And of course, they pull out and you have something on the other side. So again, 11-in-1. But one of the neat things about this one is it's ratcheting. Right? So you turn it the other way, lock it in the middle. So this can be great when you're doing screws and panels or you're doing something. But with the thought of screws and panels, this is also perfect for cover plates, screwing in receptacles, any devices, whatnot. It keeps that ratcheting is nice. So not all 11-in-1s have a ratcheting feature, but if you're really working on just the normal stuff, screwing in switches, devices, cover plates, straps, things like that, then 11-in-1 tool is going to be great. It can take the place of these, which you're not going to need if it's not working near energized parts. Then you just use something like this. And again, you've got so many functions on it. Now you can set it where it doesn't ratchet, so it works just like a normal screwdriver. I definitely recommend that all apprentices, journeymen, and electricians in general have a nice 11-in-1. Now this one right here is a ratcheting 11-in-1. Y'all know where I get these tools, and they all have a lifetime warranty. For the price, man, you can't beat it. And I know everybody's saying, where's the price? I will put down in the description where I get these. You can laugh if you want, but I have beat these to death. We've been giving out these kits for about 4 years now. We have a 5th one just went out, and part of the giveaway is they have to give us feedback on the tools, and 100% everybody's still using their tools and they're still working great. So so I highly recommend 11-in-1 as one of your things that you get used to using as an apprentice or a helper. Okay. Now, with that said, I talked about going into panels and screwing certain things. There are certain situations where you have torque values, and whether people like it or not, and whether electricians that have been around or not for a while will say, bull crap on the torquing. It is in the code. 110.14d demands it. Whether you do it or not, it's up to you. But as an apprentice and a helper, and you're getting started in the trade, and you're working on those areas that require torquing, I most certainly recommend that you invest in your own torquing screwdriver. Okay, so I'm going to pull this out for you. And I'm going to tell you right now, it feels just like the 11-in-1. It feels just like the screwdriver, slightly heavier because of the mechanics. But when I'm working on things that require a torquing value, and there's not much that does it, I will tell you, this works just like a normal screwdriver. You shouldn't feel any different. It's got replaceable tips on it. So get used to a torquing device. If you're early on in your career, you're an apprentice, you're a helper, you're first early journeyman, embrace torquing, because as you get further on in your career, it's going to be just something that becomes, you're just going to know to do it. You're just going to go to it and say, all right, I know which one to grab. And I'm going to be honest with you, I have multiples of these. This just happens to be one brand, but I've used these religiously, and I can tell you what, this has an adjustments from 8 inch-pounds all the way up to 40 inch-pounds and has increments in between. I also have a torquing wrench, which is not one of the things I recommend up front for an apprentice or a helper. The company you work for will have something like that, we hope, or you should mention it to them. But you should invest in your own torquing screwdriver, okay? The weakest link in most failures, and I know people that hate the backstabbing of devices. I know people, but I've seen just as many breakdowns on devices from wrapping the screw and not properly torquing it. Or too much and it reams it out and they think it's tight, but then over time when the conductor expands and contracts a little bit, it pops loose and then you get an arc, and that's where it builds up and then it causes problems. So for those that don't like backstabbing, it's listed, perfectly allowed to do that. The manufacturer couldn't put out the product if it wasn't, couldn't put it for sale, and if it was a big problem, don't you think there'd be a huge recall? And there's not. And then the Wagos come up with their design, and now you see companies like Leventon incorporating a Wago lever action into their new devices and things like that. Look, it's been tested. You might have an opinion on it. That's fine. But get used to torquing. So if you like to screw the terminals, you like to screw things down, and you know there's a torque value, definitely get one of these. Not a big investment, about 40, 50 bucks, but you keep it. You'll get a calibration certificate. You'll get a nice case for it, and you keep it. And you basically will use it anywhere you know there's critical torque requirements, like in panels and on breakers and things like that. So there you go. Always great to have. I know I'll get some thumbs down because people say, oh, you're using a torque. Well, code is code. That obviously tells everybody that you really don't care about code, because 110.14d specifically requires torquing. Now, while there's other methods than just a torquing screwdriver to get to the torque, there's snap-offs that snap at certain values. Again, tried and true torquing screwdriver works just as well. Okay, one of and again, obviously I'm going without saying things like a nice hammer. Got to have a hammer. Find one that feels comfortable to you, that you're going to actually use. Again, it's very common for electricians for pounding staples to use their side. Never pound it on the pivot. Okay, if you're going to pound it on the ends. Okay, I know people want to pound it here, but I don't recommend it. especially as these wear on, and depending on what you're pounding, if this mushrooms a little bit, then these can get kind of sticky. So use the hammer end of it, get used to doing that, but be careful. But if you need a hammer, get one that's comfortable to you. There's different types of hammers, and you'll find the right one for you. Okay, don't be trying to get a carpenter's hammer if you're an electrician and trying to swing something that's so heavy. Look, it's precise. We want to make sure that we're driving these staples, and we're not driving them home, folks. We're not driving them till where the staple embeds into the non-metallic sheet cable. In fact, the staple doesn't even need to touch the non-metallic sheet cable. It just needs to float in there. Keep it in the center of the stud. That's what we're talking about, right? So kind of a recap before I go to my last item that I'm going to tell you that an apprentice needs. We'll recap it. A nice set of diagonals to cut all those things that we may want to save the edge of our side cutters. So maybe if we're cutting metal straps, maybe we're working with something where we need to snip off some metal, then we're going to use the diagonals, okay? Definitely want a set of strippers. You want to make sure that you're stripping the conductor and you're not nicking the conductive material. Don't want to do that. Obviously, goes without saying, a good set of side cutters. Good set of insulated screwdrivers, so when you're having to work service calls and inside of panels that you know are energized, taking full caution, eye protection, whatnot, you definitely want to have a good set of these. They're not expensive, but again, these are rated up to 1,000 volts, which is going to be far beyond what most of you are going to work in. A ratcheting screwdriver, 11-in-1. This is nice for a service call because you can go to a job, and I was notorious back in the day for having just 3 tools on me. Right? I'd have my side cutters, strippers, and 11-in-1, and I could make it happen. Okay? I could make it happen. Now, we're not going to talk about things like, of course, and get you a torque screwdriver and get used to using it early on. It'll just be later as you get on. Old dogs sometimes don't want to learn new tricks, so you got the old guys who don't want to use the torquing stuff, so they just say, it's tight enough. It might be fine, but again, if problems arise, it's usually due to termination issues, by the way. So get all that, get your 11-in-1. I won't talk about things like tape measures and things like that. Get you a good tape measure. And I recommend you getting one that has all the increments out very clearly so you don't have to struggle with 1/16, 2/16, 3/8, half, quarter. Get you a tape ruler that literally, there's some out there that have every marking called out. So it's so much easier if you're measuring something and it's 7/8, 33 and 7/8. So you know that it's precise. Work smarter, not harder. The products are out there. Just make sure you get that product. All right, lastly, I'm going to talk about something that you invest in. I'm going to probably get some chuckles here, but I have used through my career, and this is the only time I'm going to call out names. I have used Fluke, I've used FLIR, I've used all different brands of voltmeters, amp probes. And I'm be honest with you, I have purchased these meters for other people. My brother, for example, one of my gifts to him was one of these meters because I put it through the paces. And I know that the motherboards inside of them are made at the same factories as some of the ones that cost 3 times these. Okay, so I'm going to show you this. Again, I'm not going to give you a detailed review of it, but as an apprentice, as a helper, as somebody starting in our trade, you want to get you a good voltmeter. And you want to get a voltmeter amp probe combo. Now, there's some really high expensive stuff that you can get, and that's fine. But I'm going to show you what I have, and you can laugh all you want. I've used it for years, and I have used them all. You can say whatever you want. I really don't care what opinions people have of me anyway, so it doesn't really bother me at all. But what I have is Ames, okay? And Ames can be purchased at your Harbor Freight. I know. I can hear you. But I can tell you, I know for a fact, and I'm not going to spit it out here, but I know where these motherboards are made. This is one amazing amp probe. If you're an HVAC guy, it'll measure capacitors. It has a non-contact voltage ticker right here on the end. It's so sensitive that I can actually trace conductors in the wall when I'm just simply touching the sheetrock and find out from a switch box which way conductors, if I'm going to cut something, I can it's all built into this thing. Whether you like it or not, it's got the amp probe, volts, ohms, continuity, even measures hertz. It has the ability to lock for inrush if you're checking HVAC units and see what the inrush is. AC, DC, obviously. It has hold, backlight. It has so many features on it. Obviously, amp probe. And it's approximately, are you ready? About $100. Definitely within the realm. Now, for all of you fanboys that think you got to pay $400 for a good meter, yeah, tell you what, you buy this, I guarantee you it will do everything that any of the ones that you pay 3 and 4 times the price for. Okay. I have put it through the paces. My brother puts it through the paces, and he's an everyday electrician. Okay. And he works harder than most. This is, and it has so many other features that I'm not going to go into. It is the best value. Believe me, don't believe me. But look, if you're an apprentice and your money's limited, then you go with the best you can get that you can afford. Okay, don't let anybody shame you. And you know what? You're out there hustling and making money, trying to do the best you can. I'm telling you, these work. And it's approximately $100, $120, depending on what it is. And I get these. You ready? Harbor Freight. Now I know you're gonna laugh. Lifetime warranties. So look, you know what? Is what it is. I have put this through the paces and I know it works. So haters can be haters all they want. But it has so many features in here. And nice little storage for the probes on the back. Just super high quality product. Okay, and it's kind of rubberized all over. Okay, so it can take impacts pretty well. Okay, but I love these features, these non-contact, you know. Okay, that's just the mic, doesn't do anything. Okay, right? So anyway, so awesome product. So folks, apprentices, you want to and get you a pouch. And remember that when you're probably cutting in or roughing in, you're probably not going to use rough in. You're probably only going to use your side cutters and that type of thing, and maybe your strippers here. But that's probably about it. You don't need to have this big tool belt to just do that stuff. You can get the smaller pouches that will just hold like 3 things. Okay, your side cutters, strippers, and your 11-in-1. And that's what you know. No sense in wearing out your hip. Okay, got stretch marks to prove it. This is all you really need when you're doing something like a simple rough in. You don't need all the other stuff to weigh you down. When you're doing a trim out, pick your tools that you use the most for trim out. I see videos all the time of apprentices, whatever, running around with every tool they own on their hip. That's usually us older electricians who look at that, and we can tell who's new in the trade and who's not. You'll learn which tools are most used for which task. And you can get little pouches that clip on your belt, that slide on your pocket, that hold the ones you use the most. And that's what you need. You don't need to have everything, okay? But when we get started out, I want a pouch. I want these tools to be kept in a pouch. You take care of your tools. They're your lifeblood. It's how you make your money, right? So take care of everything. It'll take care of you. Have the essentials. Learn to use them. And before you know it, you're going to be skyrocketing in your profession. But those are the tools that I recommend for helpers and apprentices getting started. All right, folks, hope you got something out of that. And if you're an apprentice, welcome to the most amazing trade there is. You're embarking on a journey in the field of electricity, and you're walking in the footsteps of giants, Tesla, Edison. Okay, so that's just an amazing career, and I've been blessed to be a part of this career for over 32 years. So till next time, folks, stay safe, and God bless. Hey folks, Paul Abernathy here, coming at you with another video. But before you watch this video, make sure you do me a favor. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Hey, you haven't even seen it yet, but you know it's from me, so you gotta like it. And be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, depending on the platform you're watching this on, so that you get notified when I bring you another great video. All right, so people have been waiting for me to do this. I've had some people recently reach out and say, Paul, you talk about them all the time. You know you're not a fanboy. And for those that do question my experience in the field, go to Virginia's DPOR, go to Texas TDLR, and Google me. You'll see I'm a master electrician. I've been doing this for over 32 years. I've worked with all the brands out there. And look, I'm all about getting into the trade. I'm all about making money. Also, I'm all about realizing that you don't have to buy the Ferrari when the Kia will do just fine. So, as a disclaimer, I will say you do you, and all you haters, just be haters, because I'm going to show you a product review, and it's about hand tools, and it is the exact sets that we give away to apprentices and helpers who need a little help in getting into the trade and can't afford a full complete set of tools. I'm going to show you what I recommend, and you can do you. You can buy what you want, and a lot of those on the social media that promote fanboy stuff, it's because they're trying to get the company to give them stuff. So with that said, nobody's giving me these tools. Nobody's promoting this video. It is certainly not something that's being sponsored. This is me trying to give you my honest review. Now, I've used these tools. Everybody knows when I came to Texas, now it's about 9 years ago, I had an electrical contracting business in Virginia. When I came out here, I did the exact same thing. Out here in Texas, I primarily focused on service work. I left the contracting and the bidding and all that back in Virginia. But out here, I did service work, crawling through attics, putting up the ceiling fans when there wasn't one there, no boxes there, doing service changes, did a couple rough-ins out here. I did tons of them back in Virginia. Look, I've used these tools for years since they came out. So I'm going to give you an honest review of these tools. Okay, so let's kind of go, and as you probably expected it, absolutely right. I'm talking about Doyle. Now, you're wondering a little bit about Doyle. Okay, I never heard of it, or might not have heard of this product. All right, so Doyle is a line that is sold only at Harbor Freight. Okay, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking nothing good comes from Harbor Freight, but you'd be wrong. And the reason that I can tell you this is because Harbor Freight does honest reviews. If something's not good, they let people say it, because I have made comments on things on their site or their products that I've had that I didn't like. But I would say 99% of the time, anything I get from Harbor Freight meets my expectation. Now, if you're going to buy something and you're only going to use it every now and then, Harbor Freight is amazing for that, because the products hold up fine. If you're going to do day in and day out and really beat things to death, I've actually had some drills from Hercules, from their brands, that last pretty good. But I mean, you've got your DeWalt's, your Milwaukee's, your Ryobi's, you got everything that you can go with. But depending on how much you use something, Harbor Freight can be your friend on that. It's very cost effective. But everybody's going to have their opinions. You know, fanboys are going to be fanboys or fangirls, especially the ones that are on TikTok who get sent a bunch of tools. You expect them to be fangirls or whatever, right? They're getting stuff for free from the manufacturers. Trust me, the manufacturers are giving them away so that they can get these responses, okay? We all know that. All right, so what I'm going to talk about, and just so you know that I practice what I preach. These are all Doyle products. Very nice strippers, universal strippers with pliers built in, bolt cutter. All of these are Doyle products. From the ratcheting, these are products that we give away to apprentices. Diagonal cutters, regular pliers, insulated screwdrivers, all are Doyle. And you're probably thinking, yeah, but you know what? They're probably cheap, right? They're going to be priced affordable, but they're just cheap. They won't hold up. You couldn't be farther from the truth there on that. So let's look at it real quick. So over here on the website, you'll see that you have Doyle. We have wire crimpers right here. Wire crimpers. You've got the Doyle's Electricians multi-purpose plier. You've got they have regular strippers, and they have the ones that will strip the sheathing as well. They have channel locks. They have high leverage diagonal cutter pliers. That's what these are here. But check it, they got ratcheting strippers. They got the regular pliers. They got the heavy duty wire strippers if you like that kind of thing. They have other wire strippers. These are just with the wire gauges. and look very similar to some of the name brands you would see. Have water pipe pliers. Here's your lineman pliers that I promote all the time. Here's some long nose pliers. Here's some long nose pliers again. Here's some 6-inch multi-tool plier. Here's some more diagonals. Okay, so anyway, point is, here, look, they got fish tapes. They got cable cutters. I have a set of these I actually use. This is good for cutting 4/0, 3/0, and all that kind of stuff, aluminum. Point is, tons of products, okay? Let's focus on the one that I think that's the most important tool, at least for an electrician when it comes to the everyday, whether it's making up joints, cutting cables, pulling, grabbing onto to pull a fish tape, whatever you have, the basic lineman, okay? This one also has a built-in crimp for equipment grounds and using the barrels, all that kind of stuff. Now, let's look at these real quick. So here's what I'm looking at. Now, this has 219 reviews, okay? And it has nearly a 5-star rating. So let's go look. And a lot of these have a 5-star rating, by the way. So let's go look at it. So here you go. So this is what we're talking about. It's a Doyle. This exact one that I have right here. $19.99, okay? Compared to other brands where they're close to $50. So you can buy this thing 4 times over, 3 times over, right? Well, at least twice over. Here's the thing, all right? It has it has 0 1-stars. The majority of these are 5-star review. So people get it, they try it, they wear it out, okay? But here's the interesting thing about it. There's a crimp, picture of the crimp feature. There you go, cutting a piece of cable. But I'm going to tell you what one of the most important things, and let's do the product overview real quick, right here. All right, so cuts ACSR, screws, nails, most hardened wire. Here's the big thing right here, folks. See this? 100%. You probably can't see that. I should have figured that you probably can't see it. So let's bring it so where you can see it. Here, 100% lifetime warranty. So if I'm paying $19.99, I can take this back to Harbor Freights. They're anywhere. Okay, Harbor Freights are everywhere. I can take this back and get another one. No questions asked. Okay, because Doyle is exclusive to Harbor Freight. And so the next thing that somebody else says, well, I wouldn't buy that because it says it's made in Taiwan. I only buy American made. Well, dude, you do you, but Harbor Freight is an American company. And 90% of the things are imported from overseas. And I can bet you that a lot of the fanboy tools are made in plants overseas, bought over here and repackaged. If you don't believe me, Google it, okay? So I really don't care. And people want to throw the negatives, thumbs down, saying we only buy American. Dude, if you're the fool that wants to spend all that money, hey, I'm an electrician. I'm trying to make money. I buy what's affordable. And when I know that I can get a lifetime warranty on this thing, and it tells me it has a superior cutting edge, and I have a rating, okay? I get a 5-star rating on this thing almost right here. Look at this rating, okay? So at the end of the day, you can't go wrong for $19.99, right? Is that what it is now? Yeah, $19.99. You can't go wrong compared to other competitors' products. Now, I know the fanboys and girls are going to say, no, I would never. But I've used them. All of our apprentices have been using them for years. I know other people that I put onto these. They're always smooth action. Again, insulated. So definitely highly recommend these. Okay. So that's one of the tools that I can tell you that I've personally been involved with, and I know that it's a very reliable product. So let's kind of see if I can't get back. Not sure why it's not going back. So let's see here. Let's go back and do Doyle again. And let's see here, Doyle. There we go. So now let's go into electrical. So now the next one is that multi-purpose tool. All right, so I actually have this multi-purpose tool right here. And as you can see here, it's got the different sizes. okay? Everything that you'd expect to have in a higher end product, okay? Strippers, everything that you would need. There you go, right? All the high end stuff. Again, one of the things that's important about a good set of strippers is what? Zoom in on it for you. Right here. Lifetime warranty. Okay. Okay. Strips 8 to 18 solid and 10 to 20 stranded. Again, lifetime warranty. So if you're looking to get some tools to replace your tools, I would much rather see you go with something like these, okay, than to sit there and try to use a set of tools so long that the insulation on the grips start to crack, or it kind of gets so much sweat in it that, again, it doesn't really offer any real good protection, or starts cracking and you try to wrap it in rubber tape, whatever. Just go get you some tools. If you want to spend 3 times the amount on some other brands, you do that. Again, I'm not sponsored by Harbor Freight or Doyle. We choose these for our apprentices. One, because I'm going to be honest with you, I know they last, and they drop them, beat them, and do whatever. But I know they last. Now look at these reviews right here. Let's just kind of dig into it. Here, check this out. A 4.8 out of 5. 469 people have used them. If people were getting them and having problems with it, right? Look at this quality, customer likes. Quality 100%, easy to use, great value, okay? So the majority of the people are using these and they're very happy with them. I can tell you that no matter what tool, now I used to get my one brand I used to use, mentioned earlier in here, and it wouldn't take long before these would start to seize up. Of course, WD-40, trying to work it out, but these are the ones that I've had right here, and they're still as loose and nice. It is a matter of how you do staple. Instead of doing it on the hinge, do it on the end, like a hammer, if you're going to do that. But at the end of the day, $19.99 and a lifetime warranty. And Harbor Freights aren't going anywhere. And for those that say, oh, but it's not American made, suck it up. Probably everything in your house that you have is probably made somewhere else. If you want to not be a hypocrite, then stop everything you buy and just go buy American-made everything. And you're going to be hard pressed, okay? There's just some things that some people do better. And the fact that it's being sold in America by an American company like Harbor Freight, then I feel like I'm giving my money to an American company, okay? So I don't care. Don't be a hypocrite. Look around and see where some of the products you have are actually made, the motherboards or the components or whatnot. So don't feed me that crap. And if you're one of those that do that, I'll just block you anyway, because I don't need to hear that bullshit. So anyway, great tools that you have. Again, great ratings. They openly allow you, and they don't filter. They do not filter the comments, because I have given comments on it, right? Here you've got some people, the pliers feel really nice in the hand. They're very solid and sharp. Package didn't say if they are insulated for shock absorbing, even though they feel like they are. Again, there's only so much you can put on it. Here you go. Why didn't I buy these sooner? A quality tool as good as an everyday wire stripper crimper. You won't be disappointed. Look at the reviews, just keep going. So again, if you want to be one of those fanboys and only go with certain brands, that's up to you. That's your choice. But you can see here, $21.99. If you happen to be one of the members of their inside track, which if you buy as many products as we buy and give away these tools, then it makes sense, it saves. But anyway, at $21.99, this same tool is about $50 if you're trying to buy some brand, okay? And this is universal, not just pliers, like a needle nose, but the strippers, the cutters, you can cut the bolts here in 832s, 632s, even has a crimper built into it, so you can do your barrel crimps. So, this is just a great all-around universal tool. So you could technically get away with this if you're just going through and you're working on a rough end. Now, if you're going to pound your staples, you're probably still going to have this. If this is what you're going to pound your staples, using the right end probably. Or if you have a hammer, and then you only need a hammer in this, and you can pretty much get everything done. You've got your diagonal kind of cutters built in. You've got your strippers. You've got your pliers. All of that built into one. So you can't go wrong with that. All right. Let's see here. I want to look at one other product that I really highly recommend. And this is the Doyle. Let's see here if I can find it. Again, fish tapes. Let's see, Doyle. Let's do Doyle ratcheting screwdriver. Highly recommend the Doyle ratcheting screwdriver. Here we go, 11-in-1. Highly recommend this, guys. So here's your 11-in-1 by Doyle. You know what it costs for a good quality 11-in-1, right? And weakest link on one of these things is the ratchet. However, people put things through the paces. And here you've got 223. Look at this. Vast majority are 4 and 5 stars. And again, it's $14.99, right? So again, you really can't go wrong with this product. Heavy duty, again, the ratcheting feature. This way, turn it the other way, that way. Again, people ask me, will it last? We've had these, and now these, I don't remember, I think they've only been out for a year or two. I do know they were in the last package we sent out to the apprentice, and we routinely asked them as part of that program, they have to continually give feedback on which one of the tools, if something broke down or whatnot. Absolutely no bad feedback on this ratcheting screwdriver. I have one. This is actually part of the kit we're sending out. Mine's out in my tool bag. But again, other than beat up rubber, it perfectly looks fine and it works perfectly well. Very solid ratcheting. $14.99. Okay. Again, if you're in the club that they have, or you buy a lot of tools there, you can get it for even a little less. But again, great products. I highly recommend it. You know, people can give all the crap they want about Doyle products, but I encourage you to go check it out over on Harbor Freight. Look at the reviews. Start out small. Maybe get yourself a set of side cutters, or who can't use a good ratcheting 11-in-1, and try it. And let me know what you think. Again, it's if you want to spend 3 times as much to do the same job, and because you buy into the fanboy thing, then you do you. I've never been that way. I can tell you right now, no need for Milwaukee and DeWalt or Ryobi's, and no need in them trying to get sponsors on my website, because I'm not a fanboy, okay? I use tools that I try and I trust and I believe in, and I just love the Doyle. Call me what you want. Yeah, I know I'm a hack. I've never worked with my hands. You know what? Save me the breath in the comments, because I know what you say. But those that are willing to give it a shot and, you know, and are about value, especially in economy we're in today, these will make you money, but not break the bank. And they will last. And at the end of the day, what do they got? What do they got? They have a freaking lifetime warranty on any of it. Harbor Freights are everywhere. Just take it back and get a new one. Okay? I'll tell you, I bought from a Harbor Freight a grinder. One of the cheap little, like it was $15 grinders. I grinded on the floor out front when we were doing some remodeling. I grinded down for days and went through pad after pad, and it still kept working, and it was the cheapest you could get from Harbor Freight. Okay, so I'm a big believer in Harbor Freight, especially if you're going to need a tool for a project and you don't expect to do it a lot. Then it's great. I have the wet dry vacs from Harbor Freight. They work wonderful. So look, you can buy the name, and you can say, well, again, I don't get it because it comes from China or Taiwan or whatever. Man, suck it up. Just stop it. It's being sold by an American company, Harbor Freight, right? And I'm putting money in their pocket. They're importing the products. They're having it made exclusively for them, okay? We all get products that are made overseas. I can promise you, back when I was part of Radio Pet Corporation, we had our motherboards made in China. I get it. We're already sold out to China. I get it. But I am not willing to pay. I'm not willing to pay $50 and $60 for the name when I know that I can get a product with a lifetime warranty, probably made in the same factories, okay? Lasts just as well. and I could replace it many times over. And but who needs to? I got a lifetime warranty. So Harbor Freight's not going anywhere. They're just blowing up. So again, whatever you want, you can like it or hate it. That's my recommendation. So on all of the Doyle products that are sold at Harbor Freight, 2 thumbs up. Check them out yourself. They are not sponsoring this ad. They are not sending me any money to say this. I know from 5 years of our apprentices that we've given away these kits, I know how they've been using them, how they've been beating them, dropping them, and they haven't failed them yet. I've been using them for years, even back before I closed down my contracting business. I was using them here in Texas, service call. They work perfectly fine, and I've had all the other brands. Still have them. I don't throw away tools, but I use these. They work great for me. See if they work good for you. Till next time, folks, stay safe. God bless. And check out Doyle. You'd be surprised. Hey folks, Paul Abernathy here. Welcome back to another video. If you like our videos, do me a favor. You've seen them in the past, or your expectation that I'm here to bring you great content. Do me a favor. Consider giving us a like and sharing our videos with other people. It really helps. And again, don't forget to subscribe to whatever platform you're listening to or watching on, because it does help us out and allow other people to find out about our products. Remember, we don't advertise on ad sharing platforms. We are organic, and people come to us because they love our training, whether it's our Fast Trax program or some educational videos that we have over on fasttraxtube.com, which is our exclusive video platform. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of exam prep today, kind of look at a couple questions, kind of dissect them, and I'll give you some tips along the way. One thing about when I explain the National Electrical Code, I'm not just showing you questions and just letting you guess the question. I'm an educator. I've been doing this for over 32 years. I like to show you where it is in the code, take you there, let you see it, and kind of get a feel for how you get there. Now, one of the downsides to our online is that we don't have an index. So one thing I encourage you to do is get used to using the index if you're preparing for an electrical exam. Take your index, look at a question, dissect the root of that question, and we have a video on that, how to dissect the root. It's available to our Fast Track students in our program, and it kind of teaches you how to look at a question, okay? Now let's go look at a couple questions, and we'll see how we dissect it. And what we're going to be using today is the latest addition to our database of questions. So we have in our Fast Trax programs, the Black and the Plus program, we have over 1,200 exam style questions, and that's the competency review and the practice questions. But we added another 700 plus questions to our database for you. More resources. That's what makes our program so affordable, because of what all you get. And you get access to me. So that's a difference too, because once you become a student of mine, you always have me just one click away. If you get our mobile app on your phone, then you always have access to me. There's a neat chat now feature where you can ask me any question on a job site. I am your consultant in your pocket, and that's another reason we never leave you hanging. All right? Okay. Enough of the sales pitch. Let me get you to the code question. All right. First code question we're going to look at here is, again, if you're taking an exam, there's certain things that you'll know. There's certain things that'll stand out here. You're not going to be able to use the index to answer every question. We already get that. You should know that by now. The reason that our course is so popular is because we walk you through the very beginning all the way through 19 units. So a lot of times, the questions you might see on the exam, you won't need to go to the index because you'll just know it right off of your studying. That's why we do it that way. A lot of programs, and I'm not selling you, I'm just telling you facts. A lot of programs will give you nothing but code questions. And they really aren't designed for exam prep. And they certainly don't meet the threshold of what we created in the Fast Trax system, which is, again, federally protected, trademarked type of program that really leads you through. I mean, Fast Trax is a protected mark, and it's all built around our educational system. We want to teach you from the beginning all the way up through special occupancies, special equipment, all those type of things. But we're going to drip feed you every unit. Okay, so this is extra questions. These are over and above that we're going to give you in the database. So that's what we're looking at today. Oh, by the way, the Fast Trax is available in 2017, 2020, and 2023. You do not get these bonus questions in the 2017, only the 2020 and 2023. Sorry. Okay, all right, so let's look at the question. All right, so the question says a minimum size for a single conductor used for power limited fire alarm, okay, so PLFA circuits shall be blank AWG. So the first thing that you'll know if you're an astute studier of the NEC is that you need to dissect where we're looking. Well, obviously we're looking for conductor sizes, but where is it specific to? Fire alarm. What article in the National Electrical Code focuses on fire alarm? Now, we're not talking about NFPA 72, we're talking about what's germane to the NEC. And we know that Article 760 is focused on it. Now, two ways to find this if you didn't know, but you knew the target here, the root is we're dealing with fire alarm circuits, in this case, power limited. Then you could go to the front of the table of contents and look at the different articles, and you'll find 760. You could go back to the index and look under fire alarm, and you'll find something there that'll get you to 760, and maybe even talk about the circuits and minimum size. But you got to remember that some articles are fairly small, and 760 is one of those. It's not overly extensive, so what we use is a technique called bold scanning. And so we're going to go to 760. Now, I'm going to be using Link. Y'all all know how I love to promote Link. I think it's one of the best things that NFPA has done when it comes to bringing the code book to your fingertips. So again, I have another video on that. Go recommend you watch it over on our YouTube channel. It's available. But let's go on and go to Link. And here I am in Link, and I want to get us to 760. Remember, it's fire alarms, so the trigger is you need to understand that when it asks about fire alarms, this is why I tell you in our course, you guys have heard me say this before, we have what's called flashcards, electronic. You should be making a flashcard on every article so that you can just flip it and know exactly what it is. 430 motors, 210 branch circuits, 215 feeders, 225 outside branch and feeder circuits. You should be just knowing these things. And by simply being able to go with it, 334 non-metallic sheath cable, again, 336 tray cable, 338 surface entrance cable, you should get fluid in all these type of things. It's going to make your life so much easier on exam, and you can make it fun because flashcards can be fun. All right, so let's look here. I'm going to get us to 760 in the code. And again, I'm using Link for those that want to know. So here we go. Here's Article 760 fire alarm. Now I want to show you it's not that big. It jumps pretty quickly up in numbers. So as you can see, it jumps up, right, to 735. Now, you could probably go to the index and get a little more detail. In fact, let me do that just because I don't have it available in the program. But if I have my code book, remember what our question is. It's the minimum size of the power limited. So if I were to go to my index and I just say here, the trigger, let's go to fire alarm. And I'm going to do that. Do that with me. Pause the video if you want. Go to fire alarm and see what you've got. And see if there's anything in your index. And I'm going to go look. Okay, fire alarm systems. We see that. It tells us 760. And a quick look down this, you will see, let's go down. Okay, non-power limited circuits, 760 part 2. And then we see conductors, 760.49b. Okay, and I'm just going to keep looking to make sure. Power limited, and I guess our question was for power limited. You go down, you'll see power limited, not non-power limited, power limited. That was our question. And that is part 3. Now, under part 3, if you're following along in your code books, folks, under part 3, you see where the references are indented. That means they're germane to the power limited. And you go down and you'll see conductors size, 760.142, a great place to start. Now, we did this all really quickly if you're in an exam. The trigger was fire alarm circuits, and you know that it's power limited. So boom, it was right there under fire alarm. So we're just going to go, save us a little time. We're going to go to 760.142. Okay, so I'm going to put the code book away, and we'll go to 760.142. And you're probably going to get there a lot quicker in the paperback version than you do in the electronic, because you got to scroll, and I am refusing to use the search feature. Okay, so I went too far, so here we go. Right there. All right, and here was what it says. Let me go on and see if I can't zoom in a little bit for you. It says conductors. Let's see, conductors of 20. Let's see here. Conductors of 26 AWG shall be permitted only where the splice. Okay, and then it goes right here. It says, lastly, it says single conductors, and that's what we're talking about. Single conductor shall not be smaller than 18 gauge. Now, by the way, folks, this is another reason why Link is so good. Not for taking an exam. You got to have your code book. But interesting is it always gives you a little bit of extra content down here, kind of just like a handbook in your pocket. It's awesome. But we see 18 inches. So we're going to come back to our question. You got all your options here. We'll click 18 inches. And we have a reference here. You click the reference again, 760.142. That's where we went. Now, I get people that ask me this all the time, folks. They will say, Paul, you only get 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes a question. Yeah, but when you're studying, you're not focusing on that. Again, relax. You're trying to dissect the question. You're trying to learn from the question how to use that index if there's something you just don't know. Now, if you're in our Fast Trax program, you might have known that question right away. And you just answer it. You bought yourself a lot of time on an exam because it mounts up every time you answer something quickly. If you haven't watched our 3-wave method video, go check it out. Just search for 3-wave method on YouTube or Fast Trax Tube. And in fact, it's free view over on Fast Trax Tube if you want to get used to that platform, fasttraxtube.com. Okay, just like it says down here, except for system, it's tube.com. So go check it out. But if you are studying for an exam, take your time. It's not until the last 2 weeks that you need to worry about timing yourself. And the best way that you can time yourself is not to worry about the timers that are on the courses. It's to set your phone at 2.5 minutes or 2 minutes, depending on the number of questions on your exam and what it breaks down to. I like to just use 2 minutes because most exams are at least 2 minutes per question. Set your timer. And again, how you would do that is I would just go right into my phone. I go into my clock feature, right? And in your clock feature, right here, you have options. And I'm going to go to timer. Here's my timer. I'm going to set my timer for 2 minutes. Just like that. And I'm going to start that timer and I'm going to start answering that question. When I answer the question, I'm going to pause it. Okay, just click, where's the pause? The red button. Just pause it. And see how quickly you answered it. Now, if it gets down below 2 minutes, it'll start alarming and go in the negative. Still keep trying to answer that question because now you want to see how much time over 2 minutes it took you. All right. So the reason I usually teach this technique, which is, again, you don't hear people talking about it. Everybody just says timer, timer, timer. Use the one that's online. Do all 100 questions on that. No, you need to do it question by question by question, so that you can learn during this learning phase how to dissect a question. And then once you learn the key dissection, again, you get to learn the index, you get to learn the table of contents if that's where you're going to go, you get to get better at it. When it's time for an exam, it's going to raise your level of confidence, make you feel very comfortable at navigating this book, which is not the easiest book, whether you're tabbed out or not the easiest book in the world. So, you don't need to be an expert on everything in the NEC, but you need to be very proficient in how you maneuver it. And that's what we try to teach you, right? Another question, let's go. All right, so this question here says a service has 500 kc mil conductors on a 400 amp service, and we'll have a blank AWG supply side bonding jumper. Okay, so we know what the conductors are that are feeding the service, critically important. And you all know, and I teach this in my course, what are the 3 most important tables in Article 250 to remember or commit to memory. You ready? 250.66 for grounding electrode conductor sizing, right? Very important. 250.122 for sizing equipment grounding conductors, which go with branch circuits and feeders, okay, based on the size of the overcurrent device. Very important to remember that one. And then one of the tables that was derived from 250.66, but it stands on its own, is probably one of my favorite tables, being I serve on Copainter 5, is 250.102C. I think C1 actually, but that gets you where you need to be. That table is amazing because it determines the minimum sizing for the grounded conductors, supply side bonding jumpers, system bonding jumpers. It is an amazing table. And that's where we're going to go here because we're talking about what? A supply side bonding jumper. So you know this if you're in our course, but where would you go in the National Electrical Code? Well, you could probably go in here in your index and you can play around with it. And that's why I say dissect. So here I'm going to say, okay, well, let's see for something under supply side, just to see if there is anything under it. And that's what you should be doing, just kind of going through and seeing if there's anything in here that would be under supply side. And if you've already found other ways to do it, that's perfectly fine. But I'm going to look under here and see if there's anything under supply side. No. Okay, so we know it's bonding jumper. So we're going to look under bonding jumpers. And remember, this is why you want to start to do this slowly and look for these key terms, because the next time you see a similar question, okay, I might already know where to go, and I kind of told you table to go to. But this is why we dissect it. And you're going to get other questions like this or similar. Look, don't be in a hurry to answer all your questions. That's why I don't like the timers type of thing until you get down to the last 2 weeks. So let's see here. So let me go under bonding jumpers. Oh, kind of hit my screen there, folks. There we go. And let's see what we get under bonding jumpers. See what we got. I got to drop my glasses down, folks, because I'm getting old and can't see. Let's see what we've got here. Under bonding, okay, we have bonding. And we're going to go down. And let's see. I'm going to be looking for, see here, look under, that's bonding. So now I'm not going to do that. I'm going to look a little more detailed than that. Let's see, bonding jumpers. It says see jumpers bonding. All right, so we're going to go to jumpers. Okay. And again, if you're in our course, you guys already know where to go. You'd have been done with this question already. But we're now learning that if I have a question about bonding jumpers, that I don't go to bonding jumpers. I know that we go to jumpers, and it'll say bonding. Okay. This is why we do the index. And this is also why I wish Link with NFPA, if you're listening, add the index to it. It can't be that difficult to add that in. And it really helps us educators who use Link to teach. And we're always promoting NFPA's products. Okay. Again, my screen keeps moving. Apologize. All right, let's see here. So let me go to, and it's doing it again. What is going on with my thing here? Okay, hold on. Let me just click away. All right, so let me go to jumpers real quick and see what we got. Okay. Move my glasses down. And when you're at jumpers, okay, I'm at J, jumpers. So I'm going to go down to jumpers. Not very big. You see bonding. And you come down, and boom, I see supply side, okay? And I'm looking at that, and I'm like, well, if you're very familiar with that, you know that that's not where you need to be under that. So I'm looking down. Let's see here. Equipment, no. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, service equipment. The question was about service equipment. And it says, okay, since we're under bonding jumpers and it says service equipment, it's 250.28. That's going to talk about main bonding jumpers. We see 250.92b. It says bonding component. And we see 250.102c. That's where we know that we need to be. So again, that's just one way to find it. So I would have gone to services, and I would have gone to knowing what I know. I would have gone to 250.102C and go from there. But again, here's the thing. Why I say take your time on these questions. Because you really need to look and see what possible way that you could find this answer, okay? And the index is not going to be the holy grail, folks. I promise you. It's not going to help you pass an exam. If you've got to look up every question, that's not happening, okay? So I'm going to look under services, and you're going to learn, again, everything that you possibly could find it. Now, if there's folks out there that don't like this method, say that I'm taking too long, and if there's any pinhead out there that says, well, you only got 2 minutes, you've already taken longer than that, you don't understand how to study, you've been misled by your instructor, or you're just clueless, because there is a proven method. I have helped thousands of people learn the NEC. There's a method to the madness. You don't like my style? Do me a favor. Stop watching any of my videos. Unsubscribe. Remember, I'm not about the clicks. I'm here to make you a better electrician. Okay, so we're talking about how to dissect questions. And I'm beating this question to death. I'm getting my money's worth here. So I'm going to go to services real quick. And we're going to see if there's anything under services. Okay, so I've got my code book. I'm going to look under service. So here I am under services, or at least I'm under S. And I'm looking under service equipment. Okay, looking down to see if there's anything beneficial for me down here. And I don't see anything in there that's totally beneficial. They're going to help me any. Now, under services, I'm just looking under the term service. And I don't see anything overly beneficial there. So while there might be other things in here, we have dissected this question down. And what we have determined that we would go to bonding jumper, right? And then it send us to jumper bonding. This is why I tell you, folks, it's so important to learn tables and certain things in the code and do your best to commit to memory. Remember, 250.66, grounding electrode conductor sizing, okay? 250.122, equipment grounding conductor sizing. 250.102C, sizing minimum size for the grounded conductor, supply side bonding jumpers, main bonding jumpers, system bonding jumpers, all covered by that table. That's where we're going to go. So let's go to the code. And it's a 500 is what's being used. Okay. All right. So we're over here, and let's go on and get me down to, let's get us to 500. 250, 102. So let's see here. Bear with me as I work on my eyes here. All right, 250. Now let's get down to 102. Much easier if you have a code book, probably. If you're dealing in being able to flip through the pages, you probably have a tab for it. Let's see. Does my code book have a tab for that? Let's look and see. Let's look and see. Absolutely does. Of course, my tabs are beat to crap, but there is a tab that takes you right there. So that's another example why tabs are great, if you can do that in your state. All right, so let's look and see here. So here's 25102. As you can see right here, it's for the grounded conductor, it's for bonding conductors and jumpers. So that's bonding conductors and bonding jumpers. So here we go. Sizing, supply side bonding jumper. That's what our question was about. Now, if you notice down here, it says, and we only had one raceway, that's all it seemed to talk about. It says a service with a 500 kc mil conductor. Always assume copper unless stated otherwise. 400 amp service, and it's talking about sizing a supply side bonding jumper. That was our question. Well, here we go. It's size supply side bonding jumper for a single raceway or cable. It just says, shall not be smaller than in table 250.102C1, right there. All right, so here's the table. Let's click on it, expand it. This is what y'all are familiar with seeing. Over here, it's a 500 kc mil, so it falls between over 350 through 600. Again, that's 600 kc mil, okay? And then over here, if it's copper, then it's a 1-aught. If it was aluminum, it'd be a 3-aught, okay? Now, remember, copper unless stated otherwise, right? So we're going to come back to our question, and it clearly is 1-aught. And here's your reference. 250.102C1 and the table that's associated with it. So why do we spend so much time on this? Because in an exam, you're probably going to answer this in 5 seconds. Okay, you're going to go there, boom, 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 done. The reason I dissected it is because we learned a couple things. You're not going to find supply side bonding jumper. You're going to find jumpers bonding. You go to service and give you multiple references. You should be able to look at that, and over time, you're going to know that 28's main bonding jumpers. Okay, you're going to be looking at 66, and that's going to be grinding electroconductors. You're going to know that when you see 102, that's going to be the minimum sizing for the grounded conductor, although it still has to handle the calculated load for the grounded conductor, but it can't be less than this table. You're going to do supply side bonding jumpers, system bonding jumpers, main bonding jumpers. All of them are going to send you here to this table. So you just want to get familiar with it. And that way it's going to save you a lot of time on exam. But by us dissecting it, we saw that the index is not the holy grail. There was a method to this madness. I want you to not think of the index as a crutch, okay? The index is a helpful tool. But this is why in our Fast Trax program, we teach you 19 units to minimize the need for the index, because we're going to teach you things that you'll just lock in your memory and you'll be able to use to help you be more efficient on the exam. But I'm going to tell you something. I am a bit selfish. I am really not here to really be focused on you passing an exam. That's why you maybe got this course, but we sell other courses. My goal is for you to leave here and be a better electrician. That's what my goal is. Get Link on your phone, free, okay? Get Link on your phone. And, well, not free. Link isn't free. My app is free, and we have a lot of resources on my app, calculators and everything like that. That's free. Pay for a subscription of Link once you get out in the field, and you'll be able to answer any question that you need. And if you're a student of mine, you know I'm always here to help you. Okay? All right, so anyway, pretty good question. Let's go on to the next one. Let's do another one. All right. Listed wall-mounted control devices shall be at the top and bottom of the stairways if there are blank or more steps between each floor. Okay, so this makes sense, right? You want to be able to turn the lights on at the top of the stairs. You want to be able to turn the lights off at the bottom of the stairs. You're getting ready to head up the stairs. You want to be able to turn the lights on. Again, this is a safety thing, but it's based on a number of risers that you have or steps. So where do you find this in the code? Well, so when you think about this, this is a lighting requirement, okay? And you're thinking, where do I find the rules for different branch circuits, different things that talks about the lighting, right? Well, we know receptacles and placements are 210.52. We can go back into the back of the book and see what we've got in the index, and you should pause this if you don't know the answer right away, okay? Because this one's got terms in it, and you could say, well, I'll look up listed wall-mounted control devices, a switch, if you will. And you say, well, there's very limited. Stairways. Maybe something's in the back for stairways. That type of thing. Or maybe you know that you're talking about the different devices, just like we would for receptacles in 210.52. Maybe you remember something like 210.70 talks about luminaires and things like that and the controls of luminaires. I don't know. Let's go to the book. So I'm going to go to the index. You get your index. Pause this video. Go to the index. And I'm going to look at a couple things. So first things, low-hanging fruit. I'm going to go and look up stairways just to see. It can't be that obvious, right? But let's just go look and see what we've got. And remember, you can always pause the video. And remember, you know, if you already know the answer, you mark it. You go on. You don't waste your time on it if you know it. If you got to use the index, this is where you're going to learn what is and what isn't in the index. Okay, so I'm going to go here and let's see. I've got stairway chair lifts. Okay, I've got nothing else other than that in the back for when it comes to stairs. Okay, good to know, right? The next thing we'll look at here on this one is, let's say, luminaires, because obviously the wall switch here, or the listed wall-mounted control device, is doing what? controlling a luminaire to make sure we have a certain number of lumens on the steps. So it's a safety thing, right? All right, so I'll go look under luminaries. And again, you're gonna have to have some knowledge to be efficient in looking things up. So let's go look under luminaries and see what we see under luminaries. If there is anything under luminaries. Obviously a defined term in the NEC now. So let's look under luminaries. All right, I got luminaries. And I'm gonna look down and see what we might have under luminaries. Let's see here. And let's see here. Go down. Outlet requirements. Show windows, spray, strip lights. Okay. Not much help here under luminaries, unless I'm totally missing it. And I could be missing it. Except for the fact that we have to look down and go, okay, well, let's see here. Nothing else. Now, we do see lighting outlet requirements, right? It says see lighting outlets. Well, we know that this switch is going to be controlling a lighting outlet, so that might be something that would help us get to where we need to go. So let's go to lighting outlets, see if we can chase that rabbit hole. If you already know the answer, you mark it and you move on. If you know where to go, then you've been in the Fast Trax, because this is clearly covered in the Fast Trax. So let's go to outlets real quick. And remember, outlets are not the devices you put in the outlet box. Outlets are a location which you put devices into. So we look at outlets and we kind of go down here and I go and we look at required outlets. Okay, so we know the required outlets are in, let's say, this stairway, and we know that the switching aspect of it is based on the number of steps. So we're going to go and look at, let's see here, we're going to go and look at where were we at? We're going to go look at the outlets, and we're going to look at required. So we're going to go to part 3 of 210. Okay. Well, let's do that real quick. Okay. And let's see. So we're going to go to 210. Remember, deductive reasoning, index is not the perfect holy grail, but you got to look at the application. And if you're struggling, like, what are we talking about? We're talking about lighting outlets that are in a certain space that's required to be switched if we have a number of steps. And so where do we get the requirements for that? And other than go to 410, which is luminaires in general, we're talking about circuits right now. Everything we're talking about is circuits and switching and all of that type of thing. So let's go to 210. And I'm going to go to part 3. Bear with me here as I can't hardly see it. All right. Let me get to the beginning. Okay, so this is receptacle outlets, but you notice it says required outlets. Okay, we know what's required in the stairway. All right, so let's talk about it. So let's go down, bold scan. Everything's talking about receptacles. We can skip past that. We're not talking about receptacles and spacing. Quickly, you're moving through outdoor outlets. Okay, laundry, yada, yada, yada. We're moving through it. Guest room right there, 62, 63, meetings, not about it. Oh, boom. Lighting outlets, right? Indwelling applications. Now, remember our question. This is one of the important things about bold scanning. Let's go back just to the question real quick. And you notice it's talking about the number of steps. So you're looking for these numbers. These can be triggers when you're bold scanning. Also, the term steps. You could use the listed wall mounting. Kind of have all those jumbled around in your head as you're bold scanning. So we'll go back to bold scan real quick. All right. And you're looking down here. And what we're trying to do is right in here. So these additional locations. So these are your general lighting locations. But we're talking about in stairway, right? So we go down here and we're thinking, okay, where do we need to be? And, I see the word listed control device. Okay. I see stairway. Okay. Okay. I see between floor levels, stairway again. I see the term 6 or more. I see 6 corresponds with some of the choices we have. So that's where bold scanning, we're looking for things like stairway, all that type of stuff. And here's what it says. Where lighting outlets are required in an interior stairway with 6 or more risers between floor levels, there shall be a listed wall-mounted control device at each floor level and at each landing level that includes a stairway entry. All right, kind of clarification. So if you have multiple levels and you just have a stairway that goes from first floor to the second floor, and that's it. And even if you have a landing, if you can't leave that landing, then you only need the switching at the top and at the bottom. Makes sense? If you have 3 stories and you're going up to a landing and there's an exit from that landing into the floor, then you have to have a switch at that landing because there's an exit onto that floor from that landing. So you'd have a switch at the bottom, at the top, and then on that landing. If it only was one level and you're going from the top to the bottom, is when it's 6 or more risers, you have to have a switch at the top and the bottom. If you have less than 6 risers, not required to have any of the switching on it. Okay, so there you go. How about that? Okay. Now, as far as the lighting, here's where the requirement here, additional, you have to have at least one lighting outlet controlled. Okay, so you got to have the lighting outlet controlled by a listed wall-mounted control device, shall be installed in hallways, stairways, detached garages, detached. So that's the rule that requires the light there. All we did was look at the rule that requires when you have to switch it at multiple levels, okay, and the number of risers. So that takes us back to the question. Why did we spend time doing this? Again, I got my haters out there that say, you don't have enough time to do all that looking up. Then you're a pinhead and you don't understand why I teach people and why we're doing this. Please leave now. Don't waste my time. Those that want to learn know that we want to get our value out of our questions. You dissect it, okay? Remember, I didn't get in this industry to make friends. I came here to teach and make better electricians. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you're going to look back on it and thank me for my attitude and how I approach my teaching style, okay? Just is what it is. So answer this question, 6 or more. Again, your code reference, boom, right there. 210.70A23. Again, it took you a little bit to get there. The index wasn't as helpful, but you have to look at it and know what we're talking about here sometimes in a question and use some of your knowledge in the field. A lot of exams will have theory or code knowledge, and you're going to have to pull on your knowledge because in order to sit for your exam, you have to have a certain amount of time in the field. So it's assumed that you generally learn some basic knowledge. So in this case, you learned that this was talking about the lighting in a stairway, and it's talking about the switching of that required lighting and where you would put these switches or these listed wall-mounted control devices, where you would do that. The reason that this changed, folks, from switches to listed wall-mounted control devices, because there's other options today other than simple toggle switches. There's a lot of options out there. Technology has changed, so it was broader to call it a listed wall-mounted control device, and it might just mount straight to the wall. It doesn't necessarily now have to be powered from the building's electrical system anymore. We have a lot of wireless opportunities that are out there, so had to change the name to do that. But as long as it's listed and it is wall-mounted, you can control it. Here, it's needed 6 or more risers. Make sense? All right. This is just knowledge that you need to obtain. But we showed you how you could dissect it, and now you're learning what you can and you can't find from the index. All right, let's do one more, and I'll cut you folks loose. The next one we've got here is type MV cable. Shall be supported at a maximum of blank feet between supports. Okay, that's medium voltage. Where do we go for medium voltage? All right, you go to the index, and if you're going to use the index, that's pretty straightforward. Supporting question. So let's see what's under medium voltage. Do me a favor, pause this video, pause the video, and go under and look under medium voltage. Let's see here. I'm going to go here. All right, I'm in the back of the index, and I'm going to look and see if there's anything under medium voltage. All right, there's medium voltage, type MV, and it says supports, and it's sending me to 311.40. Okay, so we're going to see. So let's go on over to the code. All right. Now, one thing to remember here, this is the 2020 edition. It would be 311, but the 2023 edition of the NEC, so here's a little bonus for you. The 2023 edition created a new article for medium voltage. That's Article 315. Code reference the same section, just a new article. See? That's why it's important to learn. This is a 2020. We're looking at 2023 examples. So let's go on and go over to it. Just kind of tricking you there, but I want you to be alert at what cycle you're using. So here we are. We would have looked in the back some sports. That would have been an easy one for us. We're going to go to 315 because we're in the 2023 edition here. As you can see, brand new. Kind of moved out of 311, put everything. And it also expanded because it used to be just medium voltage. Now it says medium voltage, conductors, cables, cable joints, and cable terminations. A little bit broader now for medium voltage. And we're going to go down to where it's said to go, down to 40. And I can click on the left and get me there a little quicker. And here we go. So here's our supporting, maximum between supports, okay? So here's, 40 right here. So what does it say? Type MV, you gotta see it here. Type MV cable termination of equipment installed in pull boxes and vaults shall be secured and supported by metallic or non-metallic supports suitable. Now you remember, our answers were numbers and feet. So we could skip the fluff, okay? Skip the fluff and get down here and be careful of how we read the question because it's asking about support. So here it says intervals not exceeding 5 feet from terminations or a maximum of 6 feet between supports. So what's the gut thing for you to do is, you see that 5 feet and you go boom and hit it, okay? But then you're like, well, it was a maximum distance that it was asking. And it says maximum distance is 6 feet. So let's not make a mistake on an exam that you can't take back and go here and click 5. You want to click 6 because that is the maximum. And there's your code reference right there. All right, folks, learning the National Electrical Code, there's a reason I came up with this course. I get it. It's tough. And students that are in our program struggling right now, Unit 8, 11, and 13 is the toughest units in our program. I am here to help you. That's the difference in our program. You're not left alone. Now, we do have a budget program, which you don't get my additional support. But you can always post questions over at the Sparky Hub, and we'll answer your question. So you do get support, and it's a fraction of the cost of our full program. But I think if you go pricing around programs out there, really look at them, because I know people have told me, for $425 or $525 if you want videos as well over on our Fast Trax Tube. That's the difference between the black and the plus. Is the black is our basic course. The plus, you also get a year's access to all of our videos that we make over on Fast Trax Tube, which are exclusive. So that's the only difference in the two. We teach you the code. If you come into this thinking you know the code, we're going to tell you to forget what you think you know, start from Unit 1 and work your way through. That's what we want to do. And we want to teach you the NEC. I'm always here to ask questions. That's the difference between a structured program and just trying to answer questions on your own. We're going to teach you so that when you're in the exam or you're in the field, these things just come to you. All right? It's all about building up this memory, okay? This repository of knowledge that, believe it or not, it'll come out when it's needed, okay? All right. Hope you got something out of it today, folks. Till next time, stay safe. God bless.